In today's lesson on the work of water, we are still considering ice. High up in the mountains, it is so cold that all the snow that falls during the winter cannot melt during the summer. And so it remains there in the mountains, and then when it snows again, the rain and snow come in contact with the frozen snow already there. It all freezes and becomes ice. Now, not having a chance to melt completely, this build-up of snow and ice accumulates. It builds up over the years. It gets deeper and deeper, and the pressure of the weight of all this snow and ice is very great. A lot of ice can accumulate this way. As the weight of all the ice becomes too great, the ice actually starts to move down the mountain. It is a river of ice, and this is called a glacier. The glacier moves very, very slowly, so slowly that we can't even see it move. The river of ice flows slowly down the mountain, and like a river, it carves its own path. The glacier carves its path as it scrapes and grinds along the bottom and the sides of the mountain. It's like sandpaper on that mountain. We know ice is solid, unlike liquid. It can't go sideways. But with the weight of all the other ice pushing from behind it, it has no alternative but to go up to high ground when it comes to it. This is a fascinating thing about glaciers. They can even move up. Let's consider the chart we have before us. This is a glacier. When a glacier comes across rocks in its path, it pushes them along, right along in front, like we see here, pushing the rock. Debris is collected along the front of the glacier and along the side of it. You can see the debris along the side and the front. They have a special name. They are called moraines. When rocks collect along the side, it is called a lateral moraine. So along the side, or debris collect along the side, we call it lateral moraine. When it is in front, it is called terminal or frontal moraine. Sometimes two glaciers can come together. We can see a bit of that here on our chart, like here. When they come together, you can see two glaciers coming together. When it happens, we can have a moraine in the middle, and then it is called a medial moraine. Sometimes, especially in the colder regions of the Arctic or in the Atlantic, large portions of glaciers break off and fall right into the sea. These are called icebergs. Sometimes the rock that the ice has collected gets dumped into the sea. The climate of the earth has not always been the same. There have been times when for thousands of years it has been very cold. Ice and glaciers covered many places on 5 continents where today there is no ice. But these places where glaciers have been in the past can be recognized by the marks that have been left by glaciers. There are places where boulders seem to be left in the middle of nowhere, as if someone had just tossed them there. They were probably left by a glacier, particularly if they are quite a distance from a mountain. They couldn't have just fallen off. There's another sign which you can recognize as an evidence of a past glacier. Look at this chart. Just like a river carves a V valley, the glacier scrapes a valley, but the shape of the valley is different. Look at it. Just as a river cuts a valley, now the glacier cuts a V valley. The glacier scrapes a valley, but the shape of the valley is not V, actually, it's different. The shape of the valley is different. Look at the glacier cutting this valley, but the shape of the valley is actually different. This kind of valley is broad. You see it better here. So this kind of valley is broad. Just like you see it here. So we have a glacier melting. It is broad at the bottom and the sides have more of the shape of a U. Sometimes along the edges of the top, you can see the shape of another smaller valley, like we see here. All these are evidences of past glacier. When the glaciers melted, these valleys were left. The one along the slope that made the larger glacier looks like it is just hanging there. Like this, we call this a hanging valley. A hanging valley. So these are all evidences of past glacier. So I want you to carry out your own research on glacier and past evidences of glacier effects on the earth.